Okay, we're ready. Good day. I would like to welcome all members and guests to the February 4th, 2025 Public Hearing Committee meeting. I would like to remind everyone that our meetings are web streamed and televised. Please ensure that your phones are on silent mode. For those attending virtually, please mute yourself when not speaking. When called upon to speak, please turn on your camera on and unmute yourself. Staff in attendance, please use Microsoft Teams raise your hands feature to be called upon and to remove it after speaking. I now call the February 4th, 2025 Public Hearing Committee to order. All members would appear to be present with the exception of Mayor Martin, who is on leave. Councillor Duthie and Councillor Huffman are virtual. Are there any pecuniary interests? Seeing none. May I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Moved by Councillor Michelli, seconded by Councillor Columbus. All those in favor? That is carried. I now officially open public meetings held under the Municipal Act, the Planning Act, and County Policy. Please be advised that under the Ontario Planning Act, as amended by the province, only specified persons and public bodies as defined in the Planning Act may appeal a decision of Norfolk County to the Ontario Land Tribunal. Third parties or anyone who is not specified person or public body do not have the right to appeal a decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal. However, to preserve the ability to be a party to any appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal, third parties or general members of the public are required to make comments or provide written submissions. These meetings are all allow oral or written comments as input to decisions on specific development applications. So our first application is CD Report 25011. It's the Pond Argyle Victoria Street application, and I'll now call on Joshua Mueller, our planner, to present the report. You have the floor.
Thank you to the committee. Yes, as was pointed out, this is a proposed zoning bylaw amendment and official plan amendment for properties at Pond, Argyle, and Victoria Street. As you can see, the land is approximately 1.38 acres or 1.38 hectares or 3.40 acres. It's located in the area of Pond, Argyle, and Victoria Street, as highlighted in red on the screen. The subject land consists of parking lots, open spaces, and vacant former industrial buildings. Surrounding land is predominantly residential and commercial, with some parks and open space, and it abuts the river. To the north is residential land. To the east is open space, golf course, and residential. To the south is commercial and residential. And to the west is Simcoe Downtown, CBD, retail, and commercial. So there's a proposed official plan and zoning bylaw map, as you can see on the screen, and what is proposed in the official plan and in the zoning. Development proposal, official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment to permit a wide variety of uses on the subject lands. The applicant is proposing to add site-specific policies and provision to hazard lands, open space, and a zoning bylaw amendment to allow a range of non-residential uses consistent with downtown CBD, commercial, institutional, cultural, within the existing building sites. Part 4 of the diagram is to add site-specific policies and provisions to hazard lands, open space, and a zoning bylaw amendment to allow parking associated with uses permitted in Part 3. Part 5 is to add site-specific policies and provisions to hazard lands with the official plan and zoning bylaw to allow parking lot and parking associated with uses permitted on Part 6. And Part 6 is to change the open space and a portion of the hazard lands to urban residential, R6 zone, with special provision to allow apartments up to 8 stories with a limited range of non-residential ground floor uses, boarding and lodging houses, hotel, hostel, reduced parking, and parking lot uses. Technical reports, we've received a planning justification report from FO10 Consulting. We've received a transportation brief from GHT Transportation, CGH Transportation, and a functional servicing and stormwater management report, Landsmith Engineering. Some technical comments are pending, and as of yet, I have not received any public input on this proposal. The key items and preliminary considerations: the subject lands are mostly vacant with the exception of some existing commercial and industrial buildings, and the proposed redevelopment would be serviced with existing municipal services. Next steps and recommendation: consideration of public hearing input, review of all technical comments, and recommendation report. And the Public Hearing Committee report recommendation that staff report CD-25-011 for development applications 28PT PL 2024-308 and ZNPL 202-4309 be received for information, and further, that any comments received as part of this statutory public meeting be considered for future recommendation and staff report. My colleague now from FO10 is going to do a brief presentation. Thank you.
Okay, first of all, if are there any comments from committee on the planner's report? Councilor Columbus.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Any thoughts about underground parking under the apartment building? Any thoughts given to that?
Councilor Columbus, can you just hang on? We're having some technical difficulties for a minute, if you don't mind. Mr. Keene, are you here? Okay, we'll get to you in a moment as soon as we sort a few things out here.
Do you have a digital? Yeah. Yeah, right after me, you're gonna go.
Testing? No? If you see Kim. Testing, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hear that? Sorry?
Just waiting for IT. Is your mic muted on Teams? Where's Teams?
Going to have to take a 5-minute break, folks. Our system is down, and it will take that long to bring it back up, so hopefully it'll be going shortly. Technology.
Just so you know,
Huh?
oh, your mic's still on. Hi.
Soon after, members of council and I took our seats right here in council chambers last November, we began to plan the direction we'd like to see Norfolk County take over the next 4 years and beyond. A direction that builds on our strengths and sets a strong foundation in place for future generations. We looked outward to the people of Norfolk for input. We listened to you, the valued members of our community, from our sandy lake shores, our vibrant downtowns, our picturesque countryside, and our bountiful farmland. We engaged leaders from local businesses and community agencies. We gathered ideas from our team across the county. Based on what we've heard, we created Our Future Norfolk, a set of priorities that focuses on 5 key areas: empowering Norfolk, building Norfolk, connecting Norfolk, serving Norfolk, and sustaining Norfolk. These priorities, along with the initiatives and activities that drive them, will guide council and staff as we work together to serve you and all of the members of our community over the next 4 years. On behalf of Norfolk County Council and staff, we invite you to check out our website at norfolkcounty.ca/Our Future Norfolk and return frequently to learn more about our path to a vibrant and strong future for all of us, now and in the years to come.
Hi, I am Mohammed from Norfolk County Planning Department. We get a lot of questions at the Planning Department, and this video series will answer some of those. The first big question is, what is the official plan? Norfolk County's official plan describes Council's policy on how lands in our community should be used, managed, and developed. It is prepared with community input and helps to ensure the future planning and development will meet the specific needs of our community. An official plan includes issues such as where new housing, industry, offices, and shops will be located, and what services like roads, water mains, sewers, parks, and schools will be needed. It also defines when and in what order our community will grow and outlines community improvement initiatives. The official plan is approved by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing in Ontario. The current official plan was adopted in 2016 with a goal to manage the growth of this county for the next 20 years. Residents can see Norfolk County official plan on our website at norfolkcounty.ca/official plan. What is a secondary plan? A secondary plan is a more detailed policy document embedded within the official plan to address the growth and development issues unique to a specific area of the county. For example, the lakeshore area in Norfolk County or a particular urban area with defined characteristics can be a secondary plan. As I mentioned, it is a more detailed policy document. It provides directions on where future development will occur with a guideline on density, road access, infrastructure services, different building types, building heights, or even design guidelines that are compatible to that specific area. In Norfolk County, there is only one secondary plan at this moment, which is the Lakeshore Special Policy Area Secondary Plan. The Port Dover Secondary Plan would be the second plan the county is working on at this moment. What does the land use designation of a property mean? Norfolk County's official plan also identifies how individual land or a group of lands will be used, and this is done by the land use designation. In Norfolk County, a lot of lands have been designated as agricultural. Some areas have been designated as hazard lands because of their specific natural features. An example would be the natural creeks, streams, rivers, or shoreline areas. Some lands have been designated as residential, commercial, or industrial to efficiently manage the growth of specific land use. Each land designation has rules about the kind of development allowed. The official plan uses growth management data to identify where and how much growth will occur in the next 20 years. In accordance with the provincial requirement, Norfolk County reviews and updates these growth areas every 5 years. What is the process of changing an official plan?
Well,
We don't have anybody that's asked to participate. Not yet. Yeah. It'd still be a second opportunity. Well, they'd still have an opportunity to send us in writing. Correct. But if we have to reschedule it, we have to send all.
oh, gee. Pardon? Testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're ready, I think. Okay, Joshua, you have the floor.
Okay, good afternoon once again. This is a presentation for the possible redevelopment of the properties at Pond, Argyle, and Victoria, a zoning bylaw amendment and an official plan amendment. The site context, or pardon, I'm sorry, site characteristics, you can see there, the site areas are in red, A, B, C, D, and E. And then it shows what the surrounding lands are to the north, east, south, and west. Here is the official plan, the proposed official plan and zoning bylaw amendment map. The proposed development and the proposed uses under the official plan and zoning bylaw. Preliminary review, we have a planning justification report, transportation brief, and functional servicing and stormwater management report. I've only had some technical comments pending, and I have not received any public input on this proposal at this time. The key items are redevelopment and servicing. And it is recommended that staff report CD 25-011 for the development applications as listed be approved or be received for information, and that any comments received as part of the statutory public meeting be considered in a future recommendation and staff report. Thank you.
Okay, are there any questions? I have Councillor Columbus first from committee.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Brunton. And Josh, my question is with respect to did you or would you consider allocation of some parking? I noticed you mentioned that there's possibility for commercial under the building, and would you consider parking on the ground floor?
I will defer that answer until after my colleague or the consultant has made their presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any further questions from committee? Seeing none, we will go right to, we have two deputations. The first one is Mr. Michael Keane from Fotan Consultants. Michael, you have the floor. And I will remind you, you have 5 minutes, and we'll try to let you know when you have 1 minute left, okay?
Well, thank you. And while the presentation is being loaded through you, Deputy Mayor, to the committee and members of the public and staff, thanks for the chance to speak with you today. My name is Mike Keane, and I'm a land use planner with Fotan Consultants. And I'm joined by my colleague Elena Karakis, who's also a planner, and she's been assisting me on this project. Fotan's relationship to the county is that we are one of your pre-selected consulting firms. So when the county has work, it is sent out to various consultants that are pre-approved, and we bid on the work. And this is one of the jobs that we bid on. So we're working directly with you on this project. And I've kind of covered the first couple of slides. So if we could actually skip, I'm going to skip all the way down to slide 7, please. Just with Joshua has covered the context, so I will use my 5 minutes efficiently and not repeat the site context here. So when this project came up, the one thing you'll notice, that's actually slide, if we go back one prior to that, thanks. That one, that's great. There's really two sites, both on either side of the Lynn River. And on the left side, the west side, closest to your downtown, you have an existing building, and it has not had anyone tenanting that building for over 2 years at this point. And so the purpose of the, more particularly the zoning amendment, the official plan amendment does the same, is to really try to get that building back into use for you, give you some more commercial type uses that are not sensitive, that are complementary to your downtown. And so the uses that you see are largely related to your CBD types of uses, as well as trying to open up the ability for more parking in that area. Some of the lands are vacant, but not suitable for additional buildings with the floodplain knowledge that we have at this time. Next slide, please. Argyle Street is a slightly different situation, and I'll point out that the blue image is just taken from GIS layers. And that site is actually slightly larger, which you'll see in the concept plan. So just pointing out that that blue line cuts it short a bit, and that some of the grassed area is also part of this site. But when we were speaking to staff on this site, we really saw the potential for introducing a mixed-use building, residential use in particular, on this site, because a lot of this site is not within the floodplain. So there's potential for apartment, retirement home, and what you'll notice on the complementary commercial uses is they're not as broad as what we're proposing on the other side of the river. And that's because we don't want to take away from your downtown uses. We want to complement them rather than have the broad range. So if we move to the next slide, please. We've got both concepts, and what I would like the committee to understand and the public is that what we try to do is we've tried to do some test fits on the Argyle site in particular, where we're proposing a building. So it is just a simple box showing a 5 and a 6-story building potential on this site, working within your R6 zone, which allows up to 8 stories. And we basically just run a number of scenarios to figure out, how much parking, different ways that we might want to use the parking. For example, continuing some of the parking for public use, parking that would be suitable for residential tenants, commercial tenants, and visitors of that building. And so the test cases demonstrate that the zoning that we are proposing would work. And we can just turn over 2 more slides. So that would be the next one. That one right there is really, I think, the critical slide for the committee and the public. And this is really what we're trying to achieve for the county, and it's really to provide a catalyst on these 2 properties that you own. There are no set plans on how these might develop. Rather, the work we've done is testing scenarios to open up your official plan and zoning, to try to put these underutilized county properties into better use for the county. So following some type of approval, official plan and zoning related, there's future applications that would have to occur, whether those are initiated by the county or whether you partner with developers. Those have not been entertained at this time. This is kind of the first step of a multi-step process. And that really concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer questions, and even after I sit, I'll be happy to come back up and assist with anything further. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from committee to Mr. Keane? Seeing none, can I have a motion to receive the deputation as information? Moved by Councillor Vanden Riche, seconded by Councillor Columbus. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, thank you. Next we have Mr. Frank Jalness from Simcoe Community Homes. Frank, you have 5 minutes, and we'll remind you when you have a minute left. Get that on?
It works. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of council and staff. My name is Frank Jalness, and I'm a member of the Board of Directors of Simcoe Community Homes Incorporated, a local nonprofit housing organization providing subsidized housing to residents in the town of Simcoe. One of our properties is called Lynnview Terrace and is located at 85 Argyle Street, Simcoe, directly across the street from the subject lands referenced in the application before you today. Lynnview is a 56-unit, 4-story apartment building built to provide affordable housing to senior citizens in the town of Simcoe. Lynnview was built in the 1980s as an answer to a shortage of affordable senior housing in the town. During the development process, our predecessor, the Town of Simcoe Nonprofit Housing Corporation, discovered they had a shortfall of parking on site and looked to the town of Simcoe and the region of Huldom and Norfolk for possible solutions. The town of Simcoe offered to lease 24 parking spots located at 86 Argyle Street to us. After review and approval of the agreement by the town and the region, we were able to proceed with our development. That lease agreement expired in 1998 and then was renewed for an additional 5 years. This takes us to somewhere close to 2004. A number of organizational changes have taken place in that time, and as a result of that time and that change, the parking agreement was probably forgotten about and has lapsed. However, during that entire time, up to today, our residents have used and continue to use the parking available at 86 Argyle. That's close to 40 years. The proposed rezoning and sale of 86 Argyle could have a huge impact on the parking interests of our residents. Norfolk County staff have recommended that our residents continue to use the parking lot at 86 Argyle, paying attention to the 48-hour parking limit. County staff have also suggested that if and when the parking lot property is sold, that our residents could use the parking spaces available southeast of the corner of Argyle and Pond Streets across the river. This would be quite inconvenient and likely unsafe for a majority of our residents who are elderly and have physical limitations. With these concerns in mind, we are here today to ask Council's consideration in assisting our residents in addressing their parking needs. If Council is going to dispose of the property, we would like you to consider our parking needs in your actions, perhaps arranging for the potential purchasers to provide us with a small parking area on the current lot, or provide other property close to our building along Basil and Argyle or along the Lynn Valley Walkway. We would also consider joining with a future developer to provide affordable housing on the lot. As suggested by Norfolk County staff, our board is seeking a permanent, safe, and accessible solution to our parking needs. We expect to have ongoing engagement with the county as we get closer to a solution. I just note that I think in the draft bylaw that's before you today, the very last, section 4, the very last line, says, in addition to the provisions above, 10 vehicle parking spaces may be provided and maintained for the public uses. That agreement that was renegotiated in 1998 provided for 10 spaces, and that's exactly what this recommendation makes, is we should provide 10 spaces for the public. We could continue using that. That's just a thought. In summary then, we submit that the municipality and our board have had an agreement in place for decades that guaranteed convenient, high quality, and well-maintained parking for all our senior residents. We trust that Council will not forget your commitments made to our organization, and at a minimum will assist us in continuing to provide parking services to our residents. Thank you, and we are prepared to answer any questions.
Thank you, Frank. Questions from committee? Councillor Van Der Riche.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. So a quick question. Thank you for presentation in advance. So there are 54 units there, and they're all full, I take it. And how many parking spaces do you have on the property there, as well as you're looking for the extra 10?
There are actually 56 units, and we have 23 parking spots on site. Is that correct? 23?
So would you say that lots of the units require like 2 parking spaces? Is that what you're saying?
Well, we did ask the county probably 3 or 4 years ago what the parking requirement would be, and we weren't really given a response. I think it's sort of a situation that exists now, and it'd be a matter of trying to improve on that. When we survey our residents, we think we need probably about 10 to 15 additional spots to be certain of providing sufficient parking. That wouldn't necessarily include visitor parking, but that would certainly include our permanent residents. So we're looking for maybe 10 to 15 additional spots.
So just to maintain what you've had in the past would
we
be...
have 23. Oh,
right.
yeah, exactly. I see what you mean. Yes,
Yeah.
the 86 Argyle. Yeah.
Okay. All righty. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions? Oh, I have one, Frank, if I may. You said you originally had 24?
Yes.
And it ended up at 10?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And, all right.
Yeah,
Thank you.
the original
Okay.
The original agreement is registered on title. It says 24, the original.
Okay.
Okay.
Councillor Duthie? Can you hear me? No, he can't pick him up. Okay, we'll go to for now to Councillor Columbus again.
Thank you, Chairman. Are there any properties abutting your current site, 85 Argyle, that would be available?
There is only one property abutting us, our property, and that isn't municipal property, and that's the Grand Area District School Board, Simcoe Opposite School.
Any opportunity to negotiate something?
We have been talking to the school board, and you know, we're sort of proceeding with that. We'll see how things go today and where we're kind of going, but we certainly don't want to expend a lot of money if we don't necessarily have to do that.
Thank you, Frank.
Is Councillor Duthie online yet? Can anybody answer that?
I've asked him to text me his question.
Okay. Let's give it a minute then. Any other committee members? Sorry? Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I just got a text from Councillor Duthie that his question was the same as Councillor Columbus's question.
I thought I could do 2 minutes of stand-up, but I guess I can't.
Okay, nothing further from committee? Okay, sorry. Councillor Van Passen?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since we're asking about property, the county property that's up for discussion today, who owns the block south of that? Is that part of the rail trail that the county owns, or like there's a 5-acre block there that somebody must own?
Through the chair, if it helps, yes, the county does own land south of the Argyle property that we're talking about. That includes the trail.
Question, if I may. Where does the exemption of parking into downtown stop?
To the chair, so that would be within the central business district zone, which is at the river. So this property is just one over the river.
Okay, thank you. Okay, no further questions? Okay. If I could have a motion to accept the deputation. Moved by Councillor Van Passen, seconded by Councillor Van den Riche. All those in favor? That is carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, next, are there any members online who wish to speak? Anybody answer that? Nothing? No? Nothing? Okay. Okay, I have a motion. Anybody in the chambers wish to speak? Seeing none? Sorry? Come up and put your name on. Provide us with your name, if you would, please.
Okay, it's Sean Aboni.
Sorry?
Sean Aboni.
Okay.
My wife and I are owners of the building on the corner of Pond Street and Water Street, directly across from the land and building that you've been talking about in the proposal. We just have a couple comments about the proposal in the area. I have copies, physical copies, unfortunately not electronic copies. Could I distribute them to the council? They're a screenshot grab from the council's website, or the county's website, and it's showing two delineages. One there shows our parking lot, and the other one across the street is, I believe, involved in phase 4 of the proposal. So just some history behind the circle on our land. Unfortunately, the picture's not really clear, but there is some green space on the corner of Pond and Water Streets. And that was originally part of the parcel of land that we own. Apparently there was a house there on that corner before, as well as parking. The county bought that or received that land for a sight line, and it's now a green space. In lieu of taking that land, it's the belief that the parking spaces across 7 or 8 on Pond Street were put in place to reciprocate that parking that was lost. So our concern is we run a dance studio, a lot of after-hours parking. We've got families with young children. So that parking there is really nice for us, so we'd hate to see it lost, along with some other businesses in the area too that utilize those spaces during the day. So we'd like to keep that in place. Second concern is access to Pond Street from Argyle. Okay, right now it currently has signage there for stopping, etc., and people use that as a roadway from Argyle towards Pond, Victoria. So we'd like to see no physical barriers put up in there to prevent public access coming down to Pond Street from Argyle. And that's all I have to say.
Questions from committee? Seeing none? Okay, thank you. Okay, we're going to read the motion. We are no further speakers, so the motion reads as follows from the planning report. The staff report CD 25-11 for development applications OPN PL 2024-400 and ZNPL 2024-398 be received as information, and that any comments received as part of the statutory public meeting be considered in a future recommendation staff report. Okay, everybody hear that? A mover, sorry, Councilor Columbus.
Yeah, I guess this finalizes things for today, right? So I'm just wondering, I asked the question earlier whether there could be parking under this building. And did I get an answer?
Well, I assume that'll go on in the planning report.
Okay, I'm pleased to hear that, then thanks.
Am I correct, Joshua?
Through the chair, yes, that will be addressed in a further planning report. We will look at all of the studies and all of the reports that we have in and come to another conclusion.
Okay, no further questions. I'm looking for a mover on the motion I just read. Councillor Duthie, seconded by Councillor Van Riesche. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Okay, our second report is ZNPL 2024-396 1904 Turkey Point Road, CD report 2502. And I'll ask for Sumaya to present that report. Do you want to hang on a second here, Sumaya?
Yes.
Okay, are you ready?
Through the chair,
You
yes.
have the floor.
Thank you. So through the chair, the final recommendation for the application is amended to delegate approval of the zoning bylaw amendment to the Director of Planning or designate for minor zoning bylaw amendments. The present application...
Sorry, can I interject there for a minute? Did you say you wanted to amend the A recommendation?
Yes, correct. So the final recommendation is to delegate the approval for the Director of Planning, as the application is considered a minor zoning bylaw amendment.
Turn your mic on, please. Your mic isn't working. I got mine working.
Oh, turn yours off, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we have some technical difficulties again, so mine works, but Abby, we take 5 minutes here to sort this out, and we'll be back at about, what's that put us at? 450?
Or 350.
350?
Designation. A landowner can request to change the designation of the land through an official plan amendment application. This change requires a public hearing meeting and council's decision. A landowner needs to consult with a planner to get more information about this process and to identify the required documents they must submit. Any official plan amendment needs to conform to the provincial policy statement, which is a planning policy document that affects all municipalities across Ontario. This provincial policy statement is currently under review and may change in the future. To learn more about planning in Norfolk County, visit our website at norfolkcounty.ca/planning or contact the planning team at 519-426-5870 or 226 Norfolk, extension 1842, or email planning@norfolkcounty.ca. Thanks for watching.
Hi, I'm Jacob, and I'm here to take you behind the scenes on a capital project in Norfolk County. We begin planning capital projects by analyzing our infrastructure needs related to roads, water mains, storm and sanitary sewers, as well as bridges. We assess their overall condition, age, and servicing requirements. This provides a solid foundation to ensure Norfolk has the hard infrastructure for current and future needs. Once a project is determined and approved by Council, we retain an engineer to complete the design. During this stage, we engage the public through public information centers or postings on the county website to inform them of the upcoming project and provide an opportunity to share feedback. After the design is completed and all approvals are in place, we hire a contractor through a public bidding process. During the construction phase, we track progress, budget, and continue to engage with the public. We also work with other departments to ensure the overall success of the project. Once complete, we report and track any warranty issues for 2 years. We measure a project's success by its ability to enhance infrastructure and positively impact residents. As a Norfolk County employee, I enjoy building the community that has given me so much. Thank you for taking the time to join me on this behind-the-scenes tour.
We all have the right to feel safe at work, when spending time with friends and family, when participating in activities or attending a public meeting or event. Norfolk County is committed to ensuring our spaces and workplaces are safe. Our respect and responsibility policy outlines the code of conduct for employees, patrons, contractors, volunteers, coaches, and spectators. This code of conduct also applies to phone calls, emails, and virtual and social media platforms. We all play a part in fostering a respectful and safe environment. Inappropriate behaviors such as swearing, name-calling, verbal and physical threats, physical violence, harassment, and vandalism will not be tolerated. Staff have the right to take action when incidents occur. This may include denying service, asking individuals to leave, contacting the police, or, if necessary, suspending them from county programs and facilities. Those responsible for damaging county property will be required to cover the cost of repairs, fees, and lost revenues. We are committed to providing high-quality customer service and a safe and respectful environment for all. For more information about our respect and responsibility policy, visit norfolkcounty.ca/RNR.
Hi, I'm Hannah from the Norfolk County Planning Department. We receive many questions at the Planning Department, and this video series will answer some of those, like, what types of planning applications are there? There are 4 main types of planning applications for different needs. First, there are minor variances and different types of severances. These are reviewed by Norfolk County's Committee of Adjustment. An example of a minor variance is when a garage is being built closer to a property line or is taller than what is permitted in the zoning bylaw. An example of a consent to sever is creating a new lot to allow for a new house. Second are zoning bylaw and official plan amendments that are considered at council. An example is changing the permission in an urban area to allow for a triplex where a single detached dwelling is permitted. Third are applications that Ontario's Planning Act gives Norfolk County's Planning Department authority to approve. For example, a draft plan of condominium or subdivision, which are types of applications which enable the division of land for future housing. And fourth are applications which rely on approval from another regulator, such as telecommunications towers and hazard land boundary line adjustments. As a resident, when do I need to submit a planning application? For the average homeowner, a planning application may be required if your project does not meet the requirements of the zoning bylaw or official plan, or your property falls under site plan control. The building department will let you know that a planning application is required. If you want to change the boundaries of your lot, create an easement, or create a new lot from your property, you will need to apply for a consent to sever with the planning department. What is a pre-consultation meeting? A pre-consultation meeting is the first step of a planning application and allows staff to clarify the application process and provide a checklist of documents required. A complete application can reduce the time required for review and decision-making. Applications that must undergo a pre-consultation meeting before the application can be submitted include official plan amendments, zoning bylaw amendments, draft plans of subdivision, draft plans of condominium, and site plan applications. A meeting may also be required for certain Committee of Adjustment applications. To learn more about planning in Norfolk County, visit our website at norfolkcounty.ca/planning or contact the planning team at 519-426-5870 or 226 Norfolk, extension 1842. You can also email planning@norfolkcounty.ca. Thanks for watching. Hi, I'm Hannah from the Norfolk County Planning Department. We receive many questions at the Planning Department, and this video series will answer some of those. A common question is, what is zoning? Zoning is a way of categorizing how land can be used. Norfolk County has identified through its zoning bylaw different land use zones, for example, commercial, agricultural,
Okay, we're ready to go, everybody? So Maya, you have the floor with your report, okay?
Thank you. Through the chair, an application has been received. It proposes to rezone the subject property located at 1904 Turkey Point Road. from agricultural zone to hamlet residential RH zone to conform to the official plan designation and to facilitate a future application for the creation of an infill lot within the hamlet area boundary of Greens Corner. Abuttant northern lands are intended for low-density future residential development. The proposed low-density residential use is consistent with the surrounding residential uses within the Greens Corner area. The subject property is a lot of record with an existing residential use. It has 62 meters of frontage onto Turquoise Point Road with a lot area of 0.8 hectares. The subject property is designated hamlet in the official plan and zoned agricultural zone. The proposed future residential use and residential intensification conforms with the development policies within hamlet areas, and more specifically with the preservation of rural character and agricultural resources area policies. A geotechnical study and hydrological investigation report prepared by Peto McCollum Limited, dated November 28, 2024, concludes that the site is geotechnically suitable for the proposed construction of the proposed 2 houses and that there are sufficient groundwater resources in the study area to serve the proposed lots with individual wells. The subject property meets the requirements of the RH zone under section 5.7.2, except for the requirement of the minimum rear yard setback of the 1.2 meters for the existing accessory shed. We note at the time of writing this report, 1 accessory structure was deficient. Since then, the applicant has addressed the deficiency of the deficient structure, and therefore all existing structures on site are compliant with the RH zone provisions. The technical reports that were submitted as part of this application are the planning justification report prepared by a registered professional planner, geotechnical study and hydrological investigation report, and the site plan drawing. The following comments were provided by Zoning and Building Department of Norfolk County. At the present time, public input has not been received. So servicing is provided on private servicing systems on site, and the existing development meets the parking requirements outlined in Section 4 of the zoning bylaw. The zoning bylaw amendment is recommended for approval to rezone the subject lands from agricultural A zone to hamlet residential RH zone. The final recommendation to council is that staff report for development application ZNPL 2024-396 be received for information, and further that any comments received as part of the statutory public meeting be considered as part of a delegated approval to the Director of Planning or designate for minor zoning bylaws. Thank you.
Questions from committee? Councillor Van Rishi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you. Thank you for the presentation. When I look at the map and I see the subject land, it indicates to me that that's a 1 lot. Is that lot going to be split? Is that what it is? Or we've got 2 lots there that I'm not recognizing the locations?
Yeah.
Sorry? Sorry? Yep.
Through the chair, yes, that is correct. Right now it is 1 lot. So the applicant intends to sever the lot in the future, subject to the approval of the zoning bylaw amendment application. So should that be approved, the next step would be to sever the lot to create 1 additional residential lot, and the proposed development in the future consists of 1 residential dwelling on each lot.
Okay, because I can't actually see, I could probably expand it on here, but I was just curious if you knew, what is the frontage size on that? How many meters?
Currently, through the chair, currently the frontage is 62 meters.
Okay.
and the lot size is 0.8 hectares. So, assuming that the severance is approved, both lots will be compliant with the zoning bylaw.
Thank you.
Councilor Michele.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just maybe following on Councillor Vandendriess's questions, this is going to be, hopefully the plan is to split this into 2 lots. Will the 2 lots necessarily be equal size?
Through the chair, I can defer that question to the applicant. Through the chair, can the applicant respond to that question?
The podium.
Yes, the 2 lots would be equal in size.
Thank you.
Any further questions from Councillor Van Passen?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do have a question. It's in the technical comments that one of the comments was because it sits on the Langtree drain, if they were to sever it, they would have to get a reassessment and reapportionment of the drain. That the fee is $348, but they have to do that 6 times because of the different sections of the drain. There's only one piece of it that goes in front of this property, and that's the road ditch. And then if they sever it, they got to do it twice. And I just don't quite understand how we can push, let's get housing out there and do all this, and then we load up things like this, where 6 times you got to pay for the same thing. I know if I was the applicant, I'd just ask that be waived if I severed it, leave all the assessment on the remnant parcel, because the maintenance on that drain over the course of the next 50 years will never add up to the cost of what it's going to take to reapportion it. So I hope that the drainage department can sort of look at this in a different way and not charge them, it would be $4,200 just to reapportion the amount that they would have to pay on that one lot to get the drainage cleaned out in another 10 years. It just makes no sense that we load up all this red tape, all these extra fees, and then we sit around here and talk about trying to make housing more affordable. It just makes no sense to me. So I hope staff can take that thought back.
So I assume the planner will make that note and pass it on to Mr. Grice's department?
Through the chair, yes. That will be passed to the engineering department for comments.
Andrew, if you're online, did you want to speak to that?
Through the chair, I'm doubting you can hear me because it didn't work earlier.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay, perfect. So through the chair, yeah, no, message loud and clear. I would agree with Councillor Van Passen. It doesn't seem appropriate to be divvying this up amongst all of the branches that they connect to. So we will review that and hopefully be able to attribute it to the single branch that actually runs adjacent to their property. But we will review it and incorporate it into the upcoming report.
Thank you. Are there any further questions from committee? Seeing none. Are there any questions from anyone in the chambers? Seeing none. Are there any other applicant or individuals online that wish to speak to the application? Seeing none. Okay, so we'll move on. And sorry, Councilor Columbus.
The consultant, Mary Elder, was here. Did you call on her if there's any other things that she wished to add to the report? I don't know, maybe she doesn't have anything.
There was no deputation, but if she wants to, do you need to speak, Mary, or?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Michele.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wonder if I could just ask Ms. Elder one more question, and just another thought occurred to me, if that's all right. Yeah, hi, Mary. I did ask earlier if these are going to be two equally portioned lots, and you said they were. Is it possible in these types of applications to have different sized lots? Is that a possibility, or is this part of the sort of usual or typical approach?
In order to meet the zoning bylaw requirements of size and frontage, they need to be basically the same size. The first draft, I will tell you, that I saw from the surveyors had a little different size in the front, and then it was deficient. So we've sized it equally to make sure that we're meeting the requirements.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, there were no further speakers online that we're aware of, so I'm going to ask the clerk to read the motion. It's been changed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the motion is on the screens for those of you that can see them, and the recommendation is that staff report CD 25-002 for development application ZNPL 2024396 be received for information, and further that any comments received as part of the statutory public meeting be considered as part of the delegated approval to the Director of Planning or designate for minor zoning bylaw amendments. To you, Mr. Chair, for discussion and vote.
Heard the question? Yep, I have a mover for that. Councillor Van Passen, seconded by Councillor Michele. All those in favor? And that's carried. Okay, moving on, we're going to 4.3, and that is the Highway Crescent Byerly Side Road, CD Report 25008. And Somaya, you have the floor again.
Thank you. Through the chair, the application proposes to amend Special Provision 14.1032 of the zoning bylaw to reduce the minimum lot area from 1950 square meters to 1590 square meters, and to allow for lot frontage of 27 meters instead of 30 meters. The subject lands are part of approved plan of subdivision 28 TPL 2022-350. The land area is 3.4 hectares, Button Highway Crescent, and Byerley Side Road, and the property is located within the urban area boundary of Cortland. The subject land are designated urban residential in the official plan and zoned residential hamlet in the zoning bylaw. We note that the purpose of the application is limited to rectifying the special zoning bylaw provision of section 14.1032 with respect to the minimum lot area and lot frontage, as shown in the redlined version of the plan of subdivision that was submitted by the applicant, to align the final lot fabric with the zoning bylaw minimum lot requirements. The subject lands are within an approved plan of subdivision, lapsing on December 31st, 2026. The proposed development supports housing supply and the development of vacant lands within the urban boundary area of Cortland. Service and requirements, stormwater management requirements, environmental compliance approval for water and storm systems, and land use compatibility requirements are addressed as conditions of the draft approved plan of subdivision 28 TPL 2022-350. The proposed amendment of the zoning bylaw special provision does not affect or limit the conformity of the proposed development with the official plan policies. Nevertheless, we noted another zoning bylaw deficiency identified for the lot frontage of lot 13 onto Byerley Side Road. The proposed draft special provision regarding the lot frontage will be further amended to account for the lot frontage deficiencies of both lots 8 and lot 13 as part of the recommended approval to council report scheduled on February 25th, 2025. The items that were submitted as part of this application is the zoning bylaw deficiency drawing submitted by the planning agents, At the time of writing this report, public inputs have not been provided, and no additional public inputs have been provided to date. New zoning bylaw comments were provided by the zoning department of the county, and I shall read those comments. So the comments state that the minimum separation distance between any building or structure and the railway right-of-way boundary shall be as follows. For any dwelling unit, institutional use, hotel, motel, motor hotel, hospital, schools, 15 meters. Zoning review of the proposed dwellings will be completed during the building permit application process. So consideration of proposed lot area and frontage changes as it relates to private septic and lotting fabric compatibility with the surrounding lands were addressed as part of the draft approved plan of subdivision. The final recommendation to council is that staff report for development application ZNPL 2024-438 be received for information, and further that any comments received as part of the statutory public meeting be considered in the future recommendation staff report. Thank you.
Thank you. I also have on here Nick Dijak from SBM Limited as an agent. Do you wish to speak to that? Come on up. And
That's right. My name is Nick Dijak. I'm the land use planner and the agent on this file representing the owner and applicant. Just to reiterate what Sumaya said, there was some errors and omissions from the original rezoning application that was approved back in 2023. So what we're proposing today is just to make those corrections. We found a few omissions that were caught through the detail engineering phase. So no changes are intended with the zoning changes to that originally draft plan approval. So it would just be to implement that draft plan of subdivision and get things moving. I know the owner is eager to get things built and underway, so that's all that this application is requesting.
that's it? And you're prepared to answer some questions if need be? Okay, questions from the committee. Councillor Van Arishi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you. On looking at the actual visual site of it, I think the question's for you, yeah? You've got some abutments and go like these narrow ways. I don't know how to describe them, like, I don't know, what would you say, lanes that come out? One on Byerly and the other one that comes out to the back of the highway crest there. What's the plan for that, if I may?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the arm that you see to the north is for servicing. There would be a water main that comes through that to service the subdivision.
Okay, makes sense.
And the arms to the east that Sumaya mentioned, one is this is part of the existing lot fabric, so there's no intention for servicing or anything like that, just the way that the lot fabric is, and that triggered the need for the new lot frontage provision.
Okay, just seems that it's odd. So understanding the one to the north, I can see that, but the shape is a little bit on the odd. Any concerns because it's a cul-de-sac, you know, for snow plowing and things like that? Was that taken into consideration?
I would defer to staff.
Okay.
Through chair, but I don't think there would be any issues. It is designed per the design requirements.
Thank you.
Councilor Columbus.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Brunton. So this property is known as 17 Highway Crescent, but yet there's very little frontage on 17 Highway Crescent. There's more on Brierley. So I'm just curious to know why it's Highway Crescent and not Brierley. I know there's a utility corridor there, but you have a comment about that?
I'm not 100% sure as to why the addressing was or listing was labeled that. I know initially, prior to this plan of subdivision, the subject site did include more frontage onto Highway 3 or Highway Crescent. So initially that could have been the case, and I know that ARM still has frontage on there, so that address might be still attached to that, but yeah, I don't have a real answer for you, sorry.
It's just odd that it shows up that way.
Mr. Chair, if I may, to the agent, can you give us an idea of what the timeline may look like from this point, and if there's any specific phasing that you should make the public aware of?
In terms of phasing, the intended development would happen all at once in one phase. We are currently finalizing the detail engineering for this site. I know the owner is quite upset that we had to go through this process to delay the approvals for the rezoning configuration and the lotting to be finalized, but it's imminent. Yeah.
Nothing further from committee. I have one question, if I may, so I'm clear on this. I know, and maybe Andrew, if you're online, this will be serviced by county water and septic, correct?
Through the chair, yes, that is correct. There is a water service on Highway Crescent, and that corridor that the applicant mentioned on the north side of the parcel will be the corridor for the water servicing, and it will be serviced by private septic system.
Thank you. Okay, no further questions from committee. Are there any other questions from members in the chamber? Seeing none. Any other questions from members online? Nothing, okay. Okay, we'll read the motion, and I'll ask the clerk to read the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the motion is that staff report CD 25-008 for development application ZNPL 2024438 be received for information, and that any comments received as part of the statutory public meeting be considered in a future recommendation staff report.
Okay, everybody's heard the motion. Can I have a mover? Councillor Vanden Rishi, seconded by Councillor Columbus. All those in favor? That is carried. Okay, I think that concludes things. Time 4:17, okay. Motion for adjournment. Councillor Michele, seconded by Councillor Berry. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Can't see the clock. It's bright. The lights reflect on.